Ice Towers here. I'm gonna hop into the game for the first time today and try to start with a warm-up. It's gonna be a cold warm-up. Just wanted to show you guys that I have not bought the game, not spent a single penny on the game. Pretty good investment if you ask me. Best game that Call of Duty has released in the past 20 years. And we're just gonna hop into DMZ here. And since I've not bought the game, I use the firing range to warm up. Gone over that before. I'll go over it again because it's worth dipping back into. Looks like Spins is online. Going to, just while he's in match, I'm going to try to get a warm up in here. So I do have a bag, so coming with my preferred loadout, the Advancer, and some type of SMG here in the contraband stash. Again, taking in 2 weapons only to avoid that hand glitch in the primary slot. So I'm going to load in with my AR and my secondary, my SMG in my bag, and when we load in match, I'll go ahead and equip that SMG after a little bit of running with my fists out to get in position. And so let's load in with an Advancer and a stock Vaznev. Let's go ahead and throw a 45 round mag on it. And I'm going ahead and lower the volume a little bit for you guys so you don't get blasted. Advancer's a pretty loud gun without a suppressor. Here's the build I've been using. The parts of the build from most important to least important are going to be that 60 round mag, the largest mag. It's a very high rate of fire on this weapon. And then to put all those shots on target and to reach out and get you a little bit more damage range, you're going to throw that barrel on. And to compensate for the ADS time loss that you're going to have for the barrel, you're going to want to next throw on a laser, or you could choose to go for a muzzle device next if you're in a workbench. And you do want to do these things in order in game. If you get rolled up on while you're in a workbench, at least you have that mag on first, and at least you have that heavy barrel on first. And you can start playing from there. And then once you get that mag on, you're in a good spot. The weapon's already usable. Most guys, if you find an Advancer in match off a dead guy, he's probably going to have that 60 round mag on there anyway. But he may or may not have the long bore on there. That's the most important part next to the ammo count. He may or may not have a laser on there. If he does have a laser, it might not be the right one. There are a lot of different laser options, and the FSS OLE5 is going to be the best option for you for an AR. You don't want like a hip fire laser or something like that on an AR. Maybe on an SMG. I do run the hip fire lasers on SMGs. Main drawback of that being that they can see you through smoke. So if you are a smoker, just be aware of that. And then you'll get a muzzle device on there. You know, you can go with the suppressor, but I like to go with the uh, I like to run unsuppressed weapons these days. I've kind of gotten away from. I used to run suppressors on everything, and so did everybody else. But that is kind of that's a dead giveaway that you're a player. Um, the only select tier 3 bots like that drop in for a like a raid weapon stash or something. Those are the only bots that are going to be running suppressors. So if you are running a suppressor, a guy's going to know that there is an enemy operator next to him. The suppressor is still that sound suppression feature of the suppressors are still good. If you're just slightly out of audio range, it is good to uh, be first putting shots on a guy with a suppressor. He's not going to know exactly where you are. He is going to get a damage indicator on that, red or white damage wheel at the center of his HUD around his crosshairs, but he's still going to have to. Uh, he's going to have a harder time pinpointing you if you are running a suppressor. So, um, but I like to run the muzzle device because it's not as weighty as a suppressor. Um, the gun handling features in this game are quite in depth, and that does matter for just general movement. And if you don't run a suppressor, if you run a different kind of muzzle device like a compensator, like this Komodo Heavy, um, a guy is not going to immediately know that he's being shot by an enemy operator. Um, so it will buy you some extra fractions of a second, some more seconds to put decent damage on a guy, maybe get a break or even a knock before he realizes what's happening. And Komodo Heavy will give you uh, horizontal recoil control, which is the hardest type of recoil to compensate for. Um, Pulling down on the stick is quite easy, but pulling down and to the side for every different weapon type it's a hard thing to master and remember, especially if you're hot swapping weapons in match. If you're picking up, um, if you run out of ammo, which is a very real possibility, if you run an advancer, you have to, you know, it's just a lot harder. I don't find the tuning on this particular compensator to be worth it to go in any direction. Um, recoil control is great, but you're losing aiming idle stability. Um, your front sight postage is going to be bouncing around a lot more. Recoil stabilization is great, but you're going to be losing that ADS time, and you're already losing that ADS time with the heavy barrel and the compensator itself. Um, so you don't want to lose any more ADS time. The sooner you can get your sights up on target, the sooner you can get accurate shots on target. The sooner you can get it down, the sooner you can get a kill, the sooner the threat goes away, and which maximizes your chances of survival. Um, an AR is you're going to be using an AR in Al Mazr distances, and basically they're going to be close range fights. So that those fractions of seconds really do matter. Um, so we're going to go ahead and load in here, try to get a quick warm up in. And if you're training for DMZ, you want to put your target dummies on 3 plates to simulate enemy ops. And as always, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to just get my general movement dialed in. Just working on my spatial awareness, working on my movement, There is a lot of space. This is a confined area, but you can fully, you can dive, you can slide, you can tack sprint even, and and that alone is going to help you figure out where you are, how to move. You can you can see a difference between your weapon types and their movement speed. And just in general, you always want to be moving with your lightest weapon out to maximize your mobility. You don't want to be running around with an AR or a sniper out or an LMG, something like that. It's just going to slow you down. It's going to make you easier to hit. Um, so you always want to be moving with that SMG out. And let's say we see a guy at, this kind of range or this kind of range. If we go ahead and we see a threat there, we can just switch to our AR instead of running around with our AR out. Yeah, you can sight in faster if you already have that weapon type out, but this guy is right here, and I have my AR out. And at this range, anything closer than this range is definitely SMG territory. So this is kind of the closest you would want to be engaging a guy with an AR. I think this is, 10 meters. Looks like 20 meters and I think 30 meters back there. Beyond 30 meters on a console, on an older console like a PS4, you're going to have trouble with the rendering in. The render distance is not good. That's why I don't use snipers anymore. On PS4, everything's kind of wax figure, Play-Doh beyond about like 50 meters. So, and if you're trying to snipe super long distances, it will be just complete Lego block, like Minecraft visuals. Um, and So you have a really hard time tracking your target, figuring out if he's about to run into a building, what have you. So now that I've got my movement a little bit warmed up, I'm going to go ahead and start with just some tracking, some left to right tracking. And what I want to do is I want to try to hold my front sight on the center of his chest so that if he changes direction, I'll be ready to compensate. He's going back left. If you hold center chest, that's your biggest target zone. You can try to hold head, but you're going to be missing a lot of shots around him to the left and right above him. If you hold chest and you're not compensating that great for your recoil, it will track up into his neck and into his head. And you're also going to hit his arms on the side, or even if you overcompensate, you're going to pull down into his legs and into his pelvis. And so either way, you're going to be continuing to put shots on him instead of trying to track his head, which is a much smaller moving target. At this distance, at anything closer, you do want to try to go for headshots if you can, but truth be told, that's going to be a high pressure situation. So if you keep holding on his chest, you're just going to maximize your chances of getting the most shots possible into him. If you're doing like a drop shot or something, you could try to pull up into his head, as you're going to be pretty much stationary. The drop shot is kind of a last resort move. Um, just to show you guys what that is, it's when you are ADS firing and you hold down your prone button. That'll get you into a crouch and then into a prone. You don't want to tap and then hold. You want to hold all the way down for a drop shot. What that does is if a guy is close to you, let's say your chest level is up here, your head's up here, these are your feet down here. If you do a drop shot, you're going to be dropping below his weapon, so he's actually going to lose sight of you in his own weapon. And so all of a sudden he's hitting you, you drop shot, and now he has to figure out where you are. So he's going to be panicking, trying to, figure out, maybe he may even un-ADS. If he's a skilled player, he'll un-ADS if you're drop shotting him. And but more often than not, he's going to just start panicking and start spraying wildly, trying to figure out where you just went. And that entire time you're putting shots on him like this. So that's a very quick, if he's a lower skilled player, he's not going to be moving too much. If you're locked into, shooting each other within this range, he's probably going to be stationary, trying to fully aim his way out of it instead of engaging that rotational aim assist and moving his movement stick around. What I like to do is I like to move in a circle. It just takes most of the guesswork out of it. So as you can see, I'm kind of fully slamming my movement stick left and right. I was able to do a reload cancel there. Owing to my secondary weapon, it's not exactly the same as my primary in the firing range. That rotational aim assist is, you can get away with, aiming your way out of a guy that's about this range or even that range at 10 to 20 meters, but at 30 meters and beyond, you're going to want to be really taking full advantage of that rotational aim assist, which is the kind of extra boost to keep your sights on target. If you're trying to, I'm gonna shoot this far 30-meter bot without moving at all, just trying to compensate with my aim. So as you can see, I'm missing a lot of those shots up and around his shoulders. And if I go ahead and engage aim assist here, you're going to be putting a lot more of those shots into him. So that's going to make your aim a lot more sticky. As I'm transitioning between targets, I'm actually canceling my ADS. I'm taking myself out of ADS to enable me to snap quicker to the other guy. If you keep in aim assist, or if you keep in ADS, you run the risk of over or under compensating, over dragging or under dragging, and you're also going to be just moving your sight picture slower too. So between this and that, this here and that guy here, see if I can do it. It's probably easier while I'm firing. So you're just quickly just un-ADSing and then re-ADSing on this guy. This is also a reason why you want to maximize that ADS time. So you can see it kind of, I bring the weapon up even as I'm rotating my stick in a full 360, and when I hit that forward, I have an automatic tack sprint enabled, so it's going to bring my weapon up as I'm tack sprinting. So again, if you try to drag your aim over, you can see there I kind of under transitioned at first, and I had to drag even further to get this guy up here, and I also was not moving that time. So that time I overcompensated and I had to drag back to my target. So when I did a snap there, I tried to un-ADS and re-ADS, and I was ADS'd on his right arm, but most of my shots, as soon as I started shooting, it's going to pull, up and to the right, I believe. It's actually up and to the left on the advancer. But that's going to make your transitions a lot cleaner and a lot quicker, is if you actually pull yourself out of ADS for that split second where you need to start shooting another guy. It also gives you, if you're not ADS, as you can see, if you're ADS, your ADS walking speed is a lot slower than your hipfire walking speed. So as you're transitioning between targets, you can bob in and out of, you can kind of shoulder cover. So that time there, I was able to down this guy. I knew this guy was here, so I was able to down him while keeping cover so that this guy cannot shoot me. Down this guy and then pull myself out of ADS and back into ADS immediately. And as soon as I break that line right there where he can start damaging me and I can start damaging him, from here to here to here, I can immediately start putting effective shots on him. I'm ready for that. That's an intentional movement on my part. So only I know that I'm going to peak that at that exact moment. From here to a down, from here to un-ADS, start tracking on this guy into ADS and putting shots on him. He does not know exactly when I'm going to give an angle to him, and so you can use that to your advantage, and you want to be the proactive player feeding damage into this guy and not eating his damage. If I'm standing here instead of here, I'm taking damage from this guy and this guy at once. That's a 2v1. And you always want to make all of your fights to the best of your ability into individual 1v1s. So let's say this guy is not in play. Just forget about this guy. It's only this guy and this guy. If this is all I have, even though this guy's closer, he's still not in a position to do damage to me. I have this hard cover here, uh, this cover that's not penetrable, so I don't have to worry about him shooting me through this. I do have to worry about this guy though. This guy is my priority, because if they're both rushing you, you're going to, instead of taking a 2v1, say this guy just has to run up straight in a straight line and break this on this side. Let's say this is a solid wall here. The sooner I can get this guy out of play, the sooner I can start worrying about this guy. So if you're a knife player, um, both of these guys are running straight at you. You know, this guy's in good AR range. You want to put AR shots on this guy to get a break or a down. And let's say by the time that you do that, this guy is, you know, about to crest this line of cover right here. At that point, you know, your best option is probably not to try to down this guy with your AR, or even switch to your SMG. You know, you may be caught right here as he crests this line, switching, and then you don't have a weapon out at all. Your best option may be just to try to go for a throwing knife right here as he is cresting that, and your chances of hitting that knife are pretty high, because he's going to be very, very close to you. He's going to be about, you know, this distance away from you. Let's say that this is a enemy op right here. It'll be very difficult to miss your throwing knife. Most of your crosshair is going to be occupied by that guy. You're going to have aim assist working to your advantage there. And the only way you're going to miss a throwing knife there is if you kind of panic, and as you're going to line up your knife, you know, pull accidentally in some direction. You overcompensate. So just to show that again, and right there I kind of gave him too much to shoot at, being out in the open here. So let's try that again. So let's say he starts putting really good shots on me, hitting all headshots or something. I can duck back into cover very quickly, break that damage, start to replate, reload, reposition, switch to my SMG, maybe go for a jump peek, and finish the knock on that guy. So let's do that one more time. So as you can see, as soon as I broke that guy and then downed him, I'm in a position here to immediately retake cover. I don't know if there's a third guy out there somewhere. I don't know if there's a sniper looking at me from somewhere else. So the sooner you can get back into cover, that's feasible. You don't want to be hiding here waiting for both of them to push you, and you know, just be camping somewhere. The more you keep yourself mobile, the higher your actions per minute are. The more you're going to be warm and hot and ready to survive even very, very tough, otherwise unsurvivable scenarios. So I'm just going to continue to work on my aim and just general movement. Set up the bot slightly differently. that's also why you'd want to bring in a realistic loadout to the firing range so you can practice those empty mag drills where you run out of ammo and you have to switch to your secondary to finish off a close range guy. Even at about 20 meters, you can still finish off, break, or down a player with an SMG. I'll just show that to you guys real quick. So instead of breaking the whole tempo of the fight and waiting for a full reload before engaging that guy at 20 meters, I can go ahead and switch to an SMG and know that I can, reliably get at least a few shots on him, make him think twice about continuing to sprint directly at you. If a guy's broken or if he's missing some of his plates, he's going to think twice about continuing his path of attack. He's going to try to reconsider, reposition, replate, and now you're on the forefoot and he's on the back foot. Vaznev does have a pretty nasty just stock recoil pattern. I'll try to show that to you guys here. As you can see, it kind of jumps around to the left and right quite a bit. Pulls up and to the right generally, but it also kind of dances left and right for a lot of it. So the Vaznev is a very good, it's a high damage SMG, not a blinding fire rate like a Bass P or something like that, but you are getting more damage per round than like a Bass P or a Vel or something like that. And the bots in Almaz are not going to be carrying Bass Ps and Vels, so you're going to be playing more often with just a stock-less Vaznev. So you want to practice for your most likely use cases. So as I run out of ammo and start reloading, I'm jumping back into cover. That's say that guy's putting shots on me. If I just walk back into cover, I'm going to stay on the same plane and allow him to continue hitting chest or even headshots on me. But if I jump, I'm able to bring my torso up higher and my head up higher. So he's going to be forced into shooting pelvic or even leg shots to where he was previously shooting chest or head shots. And that's why you see guys jumping in close range fights. If you're fighting a guy right about here, this is a guy right here, and you're both putting shots into each other, not moving too much on a standard controller where you just have your on the default key bindings. Your jump key, if you start hitting that jump key, that's going to take your right thumb off of your aiming stick, so you're not going to be able to uh, to change your crosshair position. Um, so a jump shot in a close range fight will bring your chest shots into headshots, although you're going to miss a lot of that because as you can see, the crosshairs are going to kind of go wild there. You are going to still hit a few of those, and most importantly, you're going to make his chest shots into pelvic or leg shots. Those are going to be the lower damage ranges. You're doing most of your damage if you're hitting a guy in his chest or his head, and you're doing minimized damage if you're hitting him in the arms or in the legs. Just as a general rule of thumb, you do about maybe 22 to 25 points of damage in the chest, and you get a multiplier if you hit him in the head, and you're doing less than 20, maybe about 15 to 17 shots or damage per round if you're hitting him in the arm or in the leg. And the armor plate system in the game, if you're hitting him for leg shots or arm shots, the armor plate, even though it's going to be, logically protecting the chest, that armor plate is still going to be protecting him from damage until you break his armor in the legs and in the arms as well. And of course, if you're doing headshots to him, that headshot multiplier will start eating through his armor count even quicker. Alright, I'm going to take a quick break here, guys, and I will be back shortly, and we will continue the stream. I'll catch you in just a minute.